I'm in downtown Enterprise, Alabama in Coffee County, and I'm about to go take a look at one of the most haunted hotels in the state of Alabama. This is the historic Hotel Rawls. It operates now as just a restaurant, the Rawls restaurant, but we're going to go take a look. And I'm just taking in a little bit of the scenery as we proceed over to the Rawls. This is the boll weevil, which is a symbol for Enterprise, and that's actually what's on the top of that statue in the middle of the fountain. That is the boll weevil monument. The interesting fact, I remember when the boll weevil monument, the boll weevil off the top of it was actually stolen back in 1998, and I remember they did a story of it on the Daily Show on Comedy Central, kind of making a joke about it, but it was pretty funny. Alright, so here we are at the Rawls. This is the very front. There's the main entrance. A little bit of history there, but same thing on both sides. Right inside that window there is basically just like kind of like a study, like a lounge. But inside here is the actual lounge or bar, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to step across the street and get a better shot. Alright, so what you're seeing here is the front of the building, and this is the oldest part. Originally, when this was first built in 1903, it was a brick structure. It was just a small brick hotel. What you're seeing on the outside was added later on, which it was kind of like a facade, just for looks. I don't think you can see it in the. I don't think you can see it because it's too dark there, but you can't see the tower. But this is the front, and this is the oldest part of the building. Now the back part is much longer, and it was built later on. But the hotel was built in 1903. There was a Captain Japheth Rawls, and he came from what is now Suffolk, Virginia originally. During the Civil War, he fought with the Georgia militia, and after the war, he married and lived in South Georgia and got into the turpentine business. And he worked there running turpentine for a long time. But what happens is after about 6 to 8 years, your timber reserves start to run out, so you have to find somewhere else to start seeking timber. So he sent his nephew, Jesse Perry, J.P. Rawls, to Enterprise in 1896 to look for new areas where they can get timber. And in 1898, Captain Rawls himself moved to Enterprise. He and his family were on the first train to come into Enterprise. And in 1903, he built the hotel. And I'm about to walk around the other side of the block to see the newer part of the hotel. When I say newer, I mean it was built in 1928. It was still old. But you'll be able to see where the hotel was built to accommodate the train depot, so that when people came in to town on the trains, they could get right off the depot and there'd be a hotel right there waiting for them. So I'm going to take a little hike, and we're going to check out the back side of the building. But that is the oldest. That's the original structure. And I'll tell you about the other half in just a second. Alright, so here I am on the train tracks. And this is right on the backside of the Rawls. And I'm walking up to the train depot. And this is what I meant about the hotel being built right by the train depot, where they could be there to receive guests as soon as they get into town. Alright, now this is the back of the Rawls. Okay, so Captain Japheth Rawls ran the hotel from 1903 until 1925 when he died. Now it was originally called the McGee Hotel, or the McGee Inn, and it was named after the manager that Mr. Rawls had hired to manage the hotel. But in 1925, Captain Rawls died, and his nephew, Jesse Perry J.P. Rawls, took over, and he ran the hotel. But the first thing he did was he remodeled and added onto the back of the center, which is connected to the original structure. He added a third story, and he built these 2 3-story wings on each side, and those had 55 rooms to accommodate a lot more people. So when he built that in 1928, I believe it opened, like had like a grand opening, a gala ball in 1929 to celebrate the expansion. And the Rawls became really well known for having these really extravagant gala balls throughout the 1920s and 30s and into the 40s. One of their most popular events would they'd have a president's ball to celebrate Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And the hotel thrived for a long time, but after the 1940s, the railroads started losing a lot of traction because a lot of stock and supply were being moved now by large trucks, and the railroad kind of died out, and that hurt the business. And over time, the hotel dwindled, and throughout the 50s and 60s and into the 70s, it really deteriorated and was in really bad shape until the early 1970s. A man that had just retired from the military named Hayden Pursley purchased the property, and he worked really hard in the late 70s to restore the hotel and the restaurant into the way that it used to look. He wanted to get it listed on the National Registry of Historic Places, which he did by 1980, but he really put in a lot of work. Now, there are people that say that there's been strange activity to take place dating back to just after World War I. For a long time, there's been people talk about you can hear the sounds of children laughing and children's voices throughout the hotel and different places when there's no children around. Mr. Pursley, when he was the owner, throughout the late 70s, all the way up until 1999, he sold it to 2 other military retirees, but he claimed that when he was restoring it, he'd come in and he'd put up window dressings in the restaurant part of the hotel, and he'd come in the next day and they'd be taken down, and that went on several times. They'd put them back, and then he'd come in and they'd be taken down again, until finally the last time that he tried to put them in, he says that a board flew across the room and struck him by an unknown force. But since then, the hotel ceased operation. So these wings have not been used as a hotel in a long time. But they do house a number of office spaces, which they have for a long time. There's several law firms inside, as well as other business offices. The main floor here, behind this door is all the restaurant. Now the first floor on each of these wings right here was operated as a bed and breakfast from 1999 until 2017. And my wife and I were able to stay in this room right here on the corner. We stayed there in 2013. You can see the dim lights of that chandelier in there. But the bed and breakfast doesn't operate anymore, unfortunately. We had a good stay. My wife was a bit sick after the stay, during the stay. She came down with a cold or something, but turn this flash off for a moment. Here's the hallway. And I believe it's another law firm that takes it this hall now. But back to the spooky stuff. A couple of the more well-known supposed hauntings that take place is, if you can see that center set of windows on the second floor, there is said to be what's referred to as a lady in red. And now right behind that window, that's actually the staircase that goes up. And on the landing of the second floor, people have claimed to see a lady in red. They even claim that she kind of glows a red light. And people that have seen her, some people who even claim to have been slightly pushed by her. And the story behind her is supposedly this was a lady who was pushed out of a balcony that was on the second floor, and fell to her death. Now there's also less talk. You don't hear about this one as much, but some people claim there's also a lady in blue on the third floor. And the lady in blue, what some people say, she seems more like a motherly figure, a maternal type person that seems harmless or caring and compassionate instead of any kind of harmful. Inside the first floor, there have been a number of things happening here. You hear about children laughing in here, but you also hear about children laughing up on the third floor as well. So the first floor and the third floor, there have been sightings of a male figure that people believe to be Captain Rawls himself. He's most commonly seen in the basement, and even the current owner, who's owned this building since 2010, I believe, even he states that he has encountered Captain Rawls in the basement. There had been employees in the basement cutting up paper to make table placemats or whatever, and as they're cutting up off this long roll of paper, there had been a handprint the size of a child's handprint appeared on the paper. People have been known to set up the tables, the place settings with the silverware and all, and come back and it's all been moved around. There are people claim to hear piano music when there's nobody there or nobody to play music, and some people even claim to have heard trumpet music, which is odd, but it makes sense in the historical aspect because they used to have big bands come perform here, and that swing big band kind of sound often had a trumpet with it. So maybe that has something to do with it, I don't know. But on the main floor in the restaurant area, there have been times when all the water in the sinks in the ladies' room has been turned on for no reason when there's nobody there to do that. People have They experience weird smells like cigars or cologne, including the current owner. Like he said that he has come in when nobody else has been here, come in to open the business for the day, and they smell like somebody's burning a cigar or cologne, like somebody's in there. But there's nobody present. So yeah, there's been a number of things. Lights coming on and off by themselves, doors opening and closing. But I suppose that's why they say it's supposed to be one of the most haunted hotels in Alabama, because there seems to be a history of a lot of things being reported or claimed about the building. I believe I mentioned Captain Rawls in the basement, but some people claim to have seen a figure that seems to fit the same description at different places, like in the halls. I think some people have claimed to have seen him on the 3rd floor. Sometimes people have captured photographs that they believe shows people in windows. But the restaurant that's still open, the restaurant and the bar, if you wanted to come and see the inside of the place, that would be the way to do it. The owner is also the chef, and the cuisine is fantastic. You're not going to be disappointed if you come for a fine dining experience at the Rawls. It'll make for a great experience. But I do wish that the bed and breakfast still operated. I do have a lot of footage and pictures from our stay that I intend to soon edit together into one long video and make available for you to watch, but it's going to take a bit of time. I did get a lot of footage that night. So I'm going to sort through it and edit down the best stuff. Like I said, we stayed in this building, and I'll tell you another thing about it. When the bed and breakfast operated, if you were a guest, you'd check in, and after the restaurant and the bar closed for the night, there were no employees in the building anymore. But if you can see straight down that hallway, the door at the end was left propped when we stayed here. So late at night, when there was nobody here and the door was open, I went through and was able to video the inside of the building by myself with nobody else in there. And I didn't really catch anything. I didn't really see anything, and I haven't gone through the footage completely. I did hear some strange noises. I heard some thumps or knocks. I don't know what they were. I don't know if that's on film. I'd have to go back through it and check. But yeah, I did have free reign of the building that night and did go up the staircase as far as I could go. The hallways into the wings, once you get on the higher floors, they were locked. But I was able to go up the stairway and around to the sides. It was really dark in there. But it was really interesting and a fun stay. And hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to come back out and eat in the restaurant again, because it's really good, and it's a really unique experience, and the historical aspect of it, but as well as the dressing of the building. It's really nice. You can tell that the times that they've renovated in there, they've always gone all out and spared no expense. But it does look like it feels like it takes you back into a different period of time. But yeah, if you get a chance, if you're in Enterprise or anywhere nearby, I highly recommend it. But until one day, if they ever open up any of it as a hotel or bed and breakfast again, I'd really love the opportunity to stay there again. But that is the Rawls, and I hope you enjoyed it, maybe learned something. Thank you for watching, and that's going to do it for it. It's going to be it for me tonight. And but as always, I hope you will subscribe, because I got a lot more content coming. I've said it in other videos that between now, late August, and October, I'm going to be rather busy. But thanks for watching, and catch you next time.